No, this is more gonna be like a path of growth video, like kind of like probably based on the other person's constructive criticisms of your type. You can like learn something about your like lower functions or even like shadow functions.
And some of it isn't even what I dislike about INFPs, but like what interacting with INFPs makes me realize what I dislike about myself.
Oh my god! Deep. Okay. NI constructs. Okay, yeah, one of the things that makes it like a little bit difficult or like provide some sort of friction towards our relationship, you know, not just us but like other NI doms, is like this need to have everything planned. So most of the time I like this, like most of the time that's like I love it that you guys like plan the logistics and stuff, but like occasionally it can cause friction because yeah, sometimes I just want to like go already and it's like, wait, but let me just plan out like the further details. For example, like going to a restaurant, like such a simple thing, just pick a restaurant, like, but then this guy would be like, well, let me just research a little bit more, and then he researches for like 45 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I know it's like sweet, you just want to go to a nice place, but like it's been 45 minutes, I'm hungry, like please. Oh yeah, and I feel like NI is kind of perfectionistic in a way, especially with lower SE, because you guys really want the perfect situation to come up, and you don't want to like react to the changing circumstance. So like, yeah, so I guess I am talking about someone else, not really you, but I don't know if maybe you can relate to this, is that like they want this plan, and they're only gonna start doing it if they can still visualize a plan in their mind. So if any little thing changes, then they delay like the action indefinitely until like they fix their plan in their minds again. And sometimes it's just like too slow for me. I'm like, stop postponing everything. Like, not every aspect has to be perfect. Like, I just want to do it.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely do that a lot. Yeah, I think that's like the downfall of being an NI dom. It's like, yes, you just see this like one path in your head so clearly, and then like when something in the real world just disrupts that it's like, oh no, what do I do now? I can't just like respond in real time. I have to like go back and fix that whole NI thing. And yeah, it takes a lot of time. And I'm learning to like use my SE more. Okay, now the interesting thing, that's like maybe how your NE has trouble figuring out NI, and I think sometimes my NI has trouble figuring out NE. I think this is something that I even learned just like through the process of us making this YouTube channel. In terms of like brainstorming and stuff, like, you know, you really need to just, I think, like throw ideas out there externally, right? In order to actually do probably the brainstorming itself, it's like an external process. So sometimes you'll put ideas out there and then I'll kind of interpret them from like an NI point, where like I assume that like it's already this fully formed idea in your head and you're like very intent on doing it, and then I freak out and I'm like, oh my gosh, no, all of these ideas, and I don't have time to like integrate it in my NI. And then you're just like, oh, relax, like we could do that in like 3 months from now. And I'm like, oh, okay, sorry, that was, yeah.
Like, I even remember which one, like, you're talking about, because SI, I'm like, yeah, it was totally, like, that time when I was like, oh my gosh, we should do, like, 3-minute psychology, and then, like, it was literally, like, me saying what's on my mind with, like, no verbal filter, and you were like, no, that's so much work! I'm like, okay, just relax, I'm not even gonna do it, like.
Yeah, so sometimes if I'm kind of, like, caught off guard, then I can have those moments of freakouts with like NE users who are like, oh no, I'm not prepared for like all of this.
Oh my gosh, this is like when I was talking to like Mr. INTJ about I think I'm gonna call him that for like the rest of like, or YouTube. Yeah, I was telling him about my different career aspirations, and then he's like, that sounds so schizophrenic. I'm like, oh my god. Yeah, I mean, I get why. I mean, that's actually kind of a perfect word from an NI perspective, because we see like all these different futures as being like equally potentially real, which is kind of like schizophrenia about the future, whereas NI it's like, no, there's only like one, like there's only one future, like we are going in this trajectory, therefore this future will manifest according to the trajectory. I'm like, I don't see the trajectory though, I just see like all sorts of things as like equally there.
Yeah, I feel like I think that's something that we've talked about before, right? Where NI tends to see everything in a linear fashion, or sort of like linear growth fashion, like for example, their entire life, or even just some segment of their life where they started something and then every maybe significant event along that sort of stretch seems to progress from like the first one to the second one to the third, right? And there's that sort of logical link. Where I think you were mentioning that SI users just see all of these events as like kind of separate things, and you don't see your life necessarily as like linear, but just more of like a collection of these events that sort of happened to you that shaped you.
Very SI, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's so crazy because I guess like just the way we see time as this sort of linear thing, I would think that everyone thinks of their lives as this like linear thing, right? But it's really mind-boggling to me that it's completely different for an SI user.
No, I'm laughing because I thought you were gonna say the way we see time as a species is linear. What's wrong with you?
No, I definitely see that as like a social construct, but I guess my cognitive functions tend to coalesce with that social construct better than others.
It's crazy. That's like an amazing topic. How does NI feel about this? Because my NE feels like I have expanded my knowledge about this area just by having a conversation about it.
Yeah, I think that maybe in previous conversations, I think we've kind of drew similar parallels. So this definitely like adds to it, but I think like yeah, those sort of connections were already there.
Guys, the difference between like NI and NE, like when you're like, oh, we've drawn those parallels before, I'm like, yeah, of course we have, but that was just the foundation. But because we found like new specific words to describe these things now, I feel like my internal knowledge is more, because I don't know, I guess as soon as something gets expressed in a different way that I connect with, this is the only time FI is gonna be like, I connect with that. Then it feels like there's more. I guess NE is always like more. And NI is always like, oh, my structure is getting more solidified. And NE is like, more knowledge.
Yeah, I think unless there's like another data point that I could like add to it to kind of strengthen it, then I would feel like, oh yeah, okay, now I'm like more confident in that sort of NI thing. But yeah, seriously, like I just don't maybe this is also the wine, but like I don't even now, like 2 minutes after finishing our conversation, I don't remember every single thing that we talked about, so I can't even comment on whether like it's already just all disappeared from the sensory level and gone into the intuitive level, and I'm like, yeah, this pattern, we've talked about this pattern before, but like specifically what did we say about this pattern? I don't remember.
Oh my god. Well, this is why it's good that we're recording these, because maybe tomorrow you'll be like, oh, there was new language used. But no, you probably won't.
Well, I won't say there's new language used, but I might be like, oh yeah, that was like another concrete SE example that I never considered before, so that like reaffirms my NI structure that I already had in my mind.
So different, right? It's so different. Like looking for a concrete SE example versus looking for a new way of representation.
Right.
Of facts, that's so different.